for quiz 7, Math 112. 4 problems on this. I guess we'll just take it from the top. First one says, suppose you have a triangle. Angle C equals 120 degrees. Side A is length 3 and side B is length 5. Solve for side C. You can draw a picture if you feel like it. You really don't have to. If you just recognize that what you have is an angle in between two sides. So you're in this case, which tells you that you're going to use the law of cosines. There's 3 different versions of the law of cosines, but only one of those 3 versions involves the angle C. And that's the one that tells you that C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. So all I have to do is figure out what this is by plugging in these values here, 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 and here. So I got that C squared is equal to A squared, 3 squared is just 9, plus B squared, 5 squared is 25, minus 2 times A times B, 2 times 3 times 5 is 30, times the cosine of C. Let's see, cosine of C, C is 120 degrees, so the cosine of C is negative 1/2. Where that comes from, maybe I have to draw a little unit circle out here. 90 degrees is straight up here, so 120 degrees would be kind of your first guy over here in the second quadrant, sorry. This right here is 120 degrees. That looks like 20 degrees, whatever. So if you want the cosine, what you're looking for is what is the x-coordinate right here, and the x-coordinate is negative 1/2. The y-coordinate, which you don't need, turns out to be root 3 over 2. That's where this negative 1/2 comes from. So we have that C squared is 9 plus 25 is 34, minus 30 times negative 1/2. Well, let's see, the negative and the negative will make it a positive, and 30 times 1/2 is 15. So C squared is 49, and therefore C is equal to 7. Plus or minus 7, I suppose, except since we're talking about the length of a side, it's got to be a positive number. You have no idea how long that took me to make this a positive or a whole number with no square roots in it. Wasn't that bad, but I'm looking for sympathy. Anyways, there's the answer C. That's all it was looking for. It's the end of part 1, or number 1. Number 2 says you got a triangle. Angle A is 30 degrees. Side A is length 2, and side B has length 10 root 3. And it wants you to find a solution for the measure of angle B. Well, in this case, I have 2 sides and an angle. And the important fact is that angle is not in between the 2 sides. So what I'm going to do is use the law of sines. And the law of sines tells me that the sine of angle A divided by length A is equal to the sine of angle B divided by length B. And actually, there's one little change I want to make here. I don't want this to say equals 2. I want it to say A equals 10. So I'm still going to use this law of sines here, and I'm going to try to figure out capital B. And I know capital A, and little b. So let's plug it in and see what happens. The sine of capital A is given to me to be 30 degrees, divided by little a, which is now equal to 10, is equal to the sine of B, B being what I want to figure out, divided by 10 root 3. So if I multiply a 10 root 3 up here, I get, well, okay, so first, how about I'll change sine of 30 into 1/2, since the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. And then what I'm going to do is try to show my algebra as clearly as possible, because I know sometimes I don't do that. Instead of 10 in the denominator here, I'll think about it as 10 divided by 1, because now I have a fraction divided by a fraction. And the way you divide fractions, you can change it into a multiplication of fractions problem if you multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. So 1/2 divided by 10 over 1 is the same as 1/2 times 1 over 10, which is 1 over 20. So now if I multiply both sides by 10 root 3, where here I guess, I'll get that the sine of B is equal to 10 root 3 divided by 20. In other words, the sine of B is equal to root 3 over 2. So I kind of did this thing. Sine of B equals root 3 over 2. It says find a solution for the measure of angle B. Well, one possible solution is I could say if I want Hey, look at that. I got a picture of one possible solution. If I want the sine of b to be equal to root 3 over 2, I want the height to be root 3 over 2. So I have two possible solutions here. I could be talking about a 60-degree angle or a 120-degree angle. So b equals 60 degrees or 120 degrees. The b equals 60 is the answer to this part, and the b equals 120 is the answer down here. And I don't even feel the need to show any more work here. It's just find a second solution. There's your second solution. Done. Sine of 60 degrees is root 3 over 2. Sine of 120 degrees is root 3 over 2. Two solutions. Done with that problem. Oh, I guess, no, I don't need to change anything. Perfect. All right, number 3. Suppose you have a triangle with side A equals 7, side B equals 5, side C equals root 32. I am given side, 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 and therefore I'm going to use the law of cosines. Which version of the law of cosines? Well, I'm solving for the measure of angle B. So I want the version of the law of cosines that has a capital B in it. That's the one that looks like this. B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine, capital B. Plug things in. B is 5, so B squared is 25. A is 7, so A squared is 49. C is the square root of 32, so the square root of 32 squared is 32. Minus 2 times A times C. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you in the problem that the square root of 32 is the same as 4 times the square root of 2. Maybe that'll help people out. So I got minus 2 times 7 times 4 root 2. So 2 times 7 is 14, and 14 times 4 root 2 is 56 root 2. Cosine B. You could get to this same answer using root 32, but you'd have to simplify it, and I'm worried that in the pressure of a test with no calculators, you might want to know this. Okay, so I got to figure out cosine of B. Let's get it by itself. 25 is equal to 49 plus 32 is 81 minus 56 root 2 times the cosine of B. So maybe I'll subtract 25 from both sides of the equation. 81 minus 25 is 56. And then I'll add 56 root 2 cosine of B to this side. Probably do that a little bit more legibly. You know what? People aren't going to do it that way. What people are going to do is they're going to subtract 81 from both sides of the equation, which is totally fine. That gives you negative 56 over here. And that's equal to negative 56 root 2 cosine of B. So the cosine of B is negative 56 divided by negative 56 root 2. But this negative 56 and this negative 56 cancel each other out. So really the cosine of B is 1 divided by the square root of 2, which if I choose to rationalize it is the square root of 2 divided by 2, because I can multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. So I got that the cosine of B equals root 2 over 2. So therefore B is equal to 45 degrees. Because the cosine of 45 degrees is root 2 over 2. And I guess that's the solution, and that would end this quiz.